Hello everyone and welcome again to Indian Story Read Along. Today's story is from a picture book with several stories in there called Grandpa Tales, and this one is called A Donkey Load of Wood. It is an Akbar and Birbal story. In the city of Delhi, there was a barber named Sultan. He never cut the hair or shaved the beard of anyone other than Emperor Akbar. Sultan was an eccentric man. Eccentric means it could mean like weird, or it could mean kind of snotty and stuck up. Or actually, what it really means is really picky. It's a nice way to say someone's super picky. One day, a woodcutter loaded his donkey with wood and came to the market to sell the wood. As he walked through the market, he shouted, "A donkey load of wood, only for 50 paisa." There it is. That's how we measure everything, you guys. It's not pounds or kilograms, it's donkey loads. New measurement just dropped. Donkey load of wood. Sultan called the woodcutter and gave him 50 paisa. The woodcutter unloaded the wood and started walking away with his donkey. But Sultan stopped him and said, "This donkey belongs to me. I have already paid you 50 paisa, haven't I?" So like he thought the donkey was included in the sale. The woodcutter said, "I have sold only the wood to you, not the donkey." See, I think I mentioned this in a previous story where this is the kind of thing that would go to court. Nowadays, what you have to do is you have to file a claim, you have to pay $100, you have to go to the courthouse, you have to sue another person, you have to make him know that you are suing him, you both show up in court, you fight it out. This was like the old days, it was like Street Fighter. This is what happened in the old days. They'd argue and then they'd be like, "We're gonna go see the king." "Yeah, I'm gonna go see the king." "No, I'm gonna go see the king." And then they're both gonna go see the king together, and then that's what they would do. And since this is an Akbar and Birbal story, you will know that Birbal was very, very fair, and he would solve these disputes among these people all the time. So the woodcutter said, "I've only sold the wood to you, not the donkey." Sultan argued, "You have sold me the wood and the donkey." The argument continued for quite some time. At last, they decided to go to the Kazi for justice. Back then, Kazi is like a smaller judge. An emperor or a king is where they would make these final judgments, and a lot of people would just go straight in, talk to the king, they'd have their judgment, and then they'd walk out. But Qazis are lower judges in case you had so many cases and so many disputes in the community that someone had to hear all of them. The Qazi knew Sultan very well. He said to himself, "If Sultan is displeased, the emperor too will be displeased." Because remember, we said in the beginning of the story, Sultan was the exclusive barber for the emperor, Emperor Akbar. He didn't cut anyone else's hair except for the emperor. The Qazi asked the woodcutter, "What were you selling?" "A donkey load of wood," replied the woodcutter. "Ah, it means that both the wood and the donkey belong to Sultan now," said the Kazi, giving his judgment, which was so wrong. But why did the Kazi, you guys, decide that was the way? Because he was friends with Sultan, and he knew that Sultan was very important to the emperor. And so it's not about who was right, it was about who you knew, which was unfair. The woodcutter was in tears. He approached Birbal and sought his help, because Birbal was always fair. Birbal heard the whole story from the woodcutter. He then advised the woodcutter to do exactly as he said, which was going to probably be an epic prank. After a few days, to teach people a lesson, an epic prank. After a few days, according to Birbal's advice, the woodcutter went to Sultan. He said to him, "Sultan, I have a problem. Please help me. Some days ago, a friend of mine was badly injured in an accident. At that time, I had vowed that if he was saved, I would get our hair cut from you. By God's grace, my friend's life is saved. Now everything is in your hands. You will have to help me to fulfill my vow. I know that you only cut the emperor's hair, but I also know that you are a very kind man. Please help me. I will give you whatever you ask for. That's good. He really laid it on. Sultan was reluctant to help the woodcutter, but the woodcutter offered him a handful of gold coins. Sultan was lured by the money and he cut the woodcutter's hair. After the job was done, the woodcutter said, "Now I will go and bring my friend here." The woodcutter brought his donkey to Sultan. He's getting a haircut for the donkey. And Sultan goes, "Hey, this is a donkey. Where's your friend?" asked Sultan. "Sir, this is my friend, the donkey." "Please cut his hair and fulfill my vow," replied the woodcutter. Once again, there was a heated exchange between them. At last, they went to the Kazi for justice. The woodcutter, they went back to the Kazi. They didn't go to Birbal, okay? So this is Birbal's way of exposing the Kazi as well for being crooked and unfair. The woodcutter told this whole story to the Kazi and requested him to give him justice. As decided beforehand, Birbal was also present in the court of the Kazi. Sultan said to the Kazi, "Your Honor, I had agreed to cut the hair of this woodcutter and his friend." The woodcutter politely argued, "Your Honor, a poor woodcutter like me can have no one but a donkey as my friend." Birbal interrupted and said, "Kazi Sahib, the words 'my friend and I' sound clearer than a donkey load of wood." Ooh. So you know what he's saying? He's saying that a donkey load of wood is very, very clear in what he meant. A load that was on the donkey, not including the donkey. And this is even more clear when you say, "my friend and I." That means more than one people. The woodcutter never implied that the donkey was included in the deal. But Sultan agreed that he would be cutting more than one person's hair. So the Kazi understood what Birbal meant. He ordered Sultan to cut the donkey's hair and also return the donkey to the woodcutter, which for him, who only cuts the emperor's hair, would have been very embarrassing to haircut a donkey. Thus, Sultan had to obey the Kazi's order once the Kazi was caught. The barber, who had never served anyone except the emperor, had to cut a donkey's hair. He lost his prestige because of his false pride. The woodcutter got his donkey back and thanked Birbal for his advice. Yes, and Birbal thought of it so quickly. That's why he was such a legend. So this story was called A Donkey Load of Wood, and it is from this Grandpa Tales book that my in-laws got for me. If you want more stories like this, please join us again on Indian Story Read Along for more books and more stories. We'll see you next time.